Thank you, guys. I'd like to start off by first of all thanking the entire Revel team for having me today. It's a great honor to get to speak among such a cohort of great speakers. It's also a great honor to be here and watch Jacoby and the Revel team do so amazingly. Jacoby and I actually got our first cannabis job together back in 2012 in Colorado. We were setting up grow tables at Mindful in Denver. So great to see how far we both come. Thanks for having me. Vapes in the form of cartridges make up a large share of the New York market. These devices are a great way to consume cannabis for a multitude of reasons. They're convenient, they're discreet, they offer quick onset, and they allow you to easily titrate your dose. Once you take a single drop from a vape cartridge, you know relatively quickly how it's going to affect you. That being said, not all cannabis vapes are the same. There are BHO vapes, CO2 vapes, and distillate vapes, among others. These options offer optionality to both patients and recreational consumers, but can be a source of confusion. So today, we're going to talk about the different types of vapes and the benefits Cresco vapes offer. To really dive into it, first we're going to talk about how cannabis vapes are manufactured, subject very close and dear to my heart. There are two primary extraction methodologies used for producing cannabis vapes. The first extraction methodology is through solvents, such as butane, ethanol, carbon dioxide, or a blend of hydrocarbons. And the other method is through a solventless process. The solventless cart is achieved by coupling bubble hash with rosin press, enabling you to activate the oil and put it into a cartridge without it crystallizing. So you can produce a completely solvent-free cartridge without having to really push it through any hard processes. At Cresco, our main focus is through butane and CO2 extraction. Our Cresco vapes are manufactured through both of these processes, and Cresco branded vapes are manufactured specifically through butane, while our REMEDI line is manufactured through a CO2 extraction process. The benefit of CO2 extraction, I'll go into butane deeper, that's definitely the one that we focus on the most, but the benefit of CO2 extraction is that it's a tunable solvent, meaning that depending on your extraction parameters, you can really target specific compounds needed for your final vape product. So initially what we do, we'll run a subcritical CO2 extraction, fraction out all the terpenes, and then later jump up our temperature and pressure to subcritical parameters in order to extract an efficient oil fraction. Then we take those two different fractions, combine them together, and you're able to produce a completely additive-free and high-quality vape product. In addition to that, the biggest driver in really your extraction or final vape quality is the input material. It is critical to have high-quality cultivation practices because ultimately in the extraction and manufacturing space, input equals output. No matter what you do, if you start off with low quality biomass, there's only so much you can do in the lab to really try to bring it back. So in addition to really focusing on the equipment that you have, make sure that the cultivation side of it is just as focused on their part. And in order for us to extract material, we have two chain of custodies that material will reach us. The first chain of custody is our live resin or fresh frozen chain of custody. This material comes to the lab in a frozen state in order to be able to really maintain the terpenes throughout the whole process. So normally in the harvesting and drying process, you could lose up to 80% of your terpenes if proper care is not taken. So if you're able to eliminate that whole process by freezing the biomass initially, you really are able to start off on a lot better foot to make a high quality vape cartridge. The other chain of custody, which is more traditional and what the industry standard is currently, is dry cured material. Depending on the care on your drying and curing process, you can really maintain a lot of terpenes, but it's just not going to be equivalent to freezing that biomass immediately. In addition, you're able to really extract biomass right away after the harvest process, as opposed to waiting a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and going through your entire process before you can get a product out. So it's kind of diving in deeper on how we make liquid live resin. Initially, you'll get your untrimmed biomass. Right away, as soon as you harvest it, you want to seal the biomass in a vacuum sealed bag in order to really keep the full essence of the plant. From there, you put it in sub-zero storage in order to maintain the terpenes throughout your whole process. And then prior to extraction, we actually bring that temperature down even further to enable the process to stay as cold as possible in order to maintain as much terpene profile that we can through the extraction process. Once we're actually extracting, the equipment itself is at sub-zero, close to cryogenic temperatures in order to ensure that we're maintaining terpene retention throughout the process again. And then after the extraction process, where you take very, very serious care in removing the solvent. And for butane, we do this with a vacuum oven in order to lower the boiling point of butane. And the biggest reason we do that is to also be able to kind of maintain the terpenes. If you're not applying as much heat to the oil, a lot of the terpenes stay in the final product that you're producing. And then for our liquid live resin process, there are absolutely no additives. We're able to really just take the initial cannabis plant essence and follow it all the way through to a cartridge. So we're not adding anything to really thin it out or increase the viscosity or decrease the viscosity or affect it in any way. We're trying to maintain the plant essence throughout the whole product. For our dry chain of custody, we're able to produce our butane, our BHO vape. It's different than the liquid live resin, and the big difference is it's from dry material, so there's a little bit of confusion there usually, instead of the fresh frozen material. In addition to our CO2 extraction products are made from dry biomass. For butane or BHO vapes, this goes through a similar post-purging process in a vacuum oven where you're purging the solvent out and making sure there's no solvent left in the final product. CO2 vapes usually have a better patient perception just because of the nature of the solvent, but in all reality, if you're taking care to remove that solvent through your extraction process, those two products offer the same efficacy and are just as safe for you as the CO2. So kind of diving in deeper to our BHO vapes and our vape offering. BHO vapes are cannabis oil that we mix back in botanically derived terpenes. So these aren't cannabis-based terpenes. They're terpenes brought from other plant material that we're able to use to, number one, optimize device performance, and number two, make sure we have a consistent, flavorful product for patients and consumers. For CO2 extractions, the state of New York actually doesn't allow butane as a solvent for extraction, so we won't be able to bring any of our liquid live to market, but we are planning on launching a CO2 vape in the state of New York, in which we're able to take dry biomass, extract it, and then eventually formulate it into 3 different carts. One cartridge we're looking to launch is a 1-to-4 THC to CBD vape. So we were able to kind of get the best of both worlds with the THC side coupled with the CBD. Another vape that we're launching is a 1-to-1 CBD to THC vape, as well as a high category specific vape. You're not allowed quite yet to use strain names in New York, so we are still gearing towards sativa, hybrid, indica for those vape carts, but that's kind of the vape SKUs we're looking to launch. And then liquid live resin, that's really our flagship at Cresco. It's the product we sell the most of in most markets because it really plays for both sides. You know, it's number one, convenient and discreet, so it appeals to the new consumer. They're able to come to a dispensary, grab a cartridge, and consume relatively easily without having to have a torch or a dab rig or all these other apparatus that kind of make it a little bit harder to get into those products. But in addition, it also appeals to the connoisseurs because it's a very flavorful product. You're getting to experience the strain in its true essence. You get the effect that you normally would get from that flower strain, and ultimately the terpene profile from the liquid live resin is huge. Usually these cartridges will test anywhere from 6 to 12% terpenes and anywhere from 70 to 80% total cannabinoids. So it's a very potent product that has no additive. Ultimate benefits of liquid live is improved experience, superior aroma, elevated flavor, 100% cannabis derived, and has a robust terpene profile. So next that we're going to talk about that we won't really cover is the hardware, but the biggest issue with cannabis vapes initially was the cotton wick-based vape cartridge. This vape cartridge allowed you to make vape carts, but you had 2 critical design flaws. One, the cotton wick would burn and would kind of, dissipate that flavor in the rest of your oil, so you end up getting a pretty bland or bad tasting vape cart that has a bad aftertaste. So people kind of shied away from it initially, especially as an extractor. It would be one of those products that, really didn't want to make as I kind of started in the industry, but then came along C-Cell. So C-Cell kind of revolutionized the game because the heating element is a ceramic coil that allows you to have a consistent heat transfer. You're allowed to be able to have a consistent vape product that actually tastes good. So you're not getting a burnt cotton flavor. You're able to put high viscosity oil into the cartridge. So that kind of really fed the formulation of vape cartridges. Because initially you have to use MCT oil or PG or VG to make your oil work in the cotton wick cartridge. But now with these C-Cells, you can take unadulterated oil, throw it into a cartridge, and have a great experience. So, and with that, I'd like to say thank you. Appreciate you guys for listening and being here.